Okay. I'll be your pledge allegiance. Mayor, will you lead us?
Certainly.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Joe.
Okay, Councilman Fultz.
Here.
Councilman Fallon.
Here.
Councilman Ondo.
Here.
Councilman Truesdale. Councilman Stein.
Here.
Vice President voted in.
Here.
President Eagle.
Here. All right, now that we're here, we're going to turn the meeting over to our solicitor, Greg Vasquez, right?
Thank you, Mr. President. The first thing we're doing, which we have scheduled and advertised for tonight, is condemnation hearings for two properties in the borough of Munhall. The first one is 925 Ravine Street, second one is 931 Ravine Street. And just for purposes of some brief background to the public, this is a routine process that occurs from time to time when we've identified, our administration and code officer and engineer have identified problem properties, dilapidated, abandoned, run down, and they get into a dangerous condition. Then the Borough Council in those situations feels it's necessary to take action to condemn these properties, and then that gives the borough the right to raise the structures. We do not take ownership of these properties by this process. We can condemn and then demolish the structure and then lien the property in the hopes that maybe someday we'd recover our lien if the property is ever sold. So that's the background of what this process is. When it's started, first thing that's done is Borough Council directs me to proceed, and my first task is to order title searches of the property. So I have to identify the record title owners because we have to give notice. And I also identify any entities with possible liens that are of record against the property, which commonly you'll find with the school district, Allegheny County, and also borough has liens against the property, and anybody else that has any kind of claim, we give them notice. So I did conduct title searches, and I have identified the record owners of the properties. At 931 Ravine Street, it is Wesley L. Wilson, and for 925 Ravine Street, it is James J. Ketterman and Mary L. Ketterman. So the title searches I'm introducing as exhibits in the hearing. We'll mark them as Exhibit A, so they'll be part of the record to verify where I got this information. Once I have that information, I prepared notices of condemnation. These are the official legal notices that list the owner's names and every known address that appears in the title search to do our best to give them notice. We also list the notice of other lien holders or any claimants such as the school, Jordan Tax, County Law Department, and so forth, legal tax. They're all identified. I prepare those notices, then I forward them on to the borough manager. And I say we have to pick a hearing date, which in this case we did for tonight. So you have to mail out those notices. They go regular mail and certified mail to the owners, and they go regular mail to all the lien holders that are entitled to notice. So that's done. The borough manager will certify to that. He prepares a manager's certification certifying that he completed these tasks that I'm describing. I'll have him confirm that in a moment. Once that is done, then the properties have to be posted with the hearing notice. We have our code enforcement officer who I know did that, and he'll talk about that. And there's an inspection by the code enforcement officer and also by the borough engineer to verify that these properties are in the condition I described and that they should be condemned, and for safety reasons they should be raised. So that's generally the process. I've identified already the title searches are Exhibit A for both of these properties. The notices of condemnation I prepared, which I described a moment ago and sent to the borough manager, they are Exhibit B. The certification by the borough manager, Exhibit C, and then the engineer inspection report, Exhibit D. So at this time, before these witnesses testify, I'm going to ask them to raise their right hand. I'm going to ask the court reporter to swear them in, manager, engineer, and code enforcement. Can you swear these witnesses in, please?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalties of perjury that the testimony that you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
All right, thank you. There having been sworn. First of all, Mr. Varhola, your position with the Borough of Munhall.
Borough manager?
And did you receive the notices of condemnation I prepared for these two properties, which I described a moment ago?
I did.
And did you mail them to the owners and all those lien holders entitled to notice?
We did through the code enforcement office.
Okay, all right. And you directed him to also advertise and post the properties?
Yes, I did.
All right, and that was completed by Mr. Cannon?
Correct.
Thank you. And we will have your completed manager's certification, also the code enforcement officer certification introduced as Exhibit C. Mr. Cannon, your position with the Borough of Munhall?
Building code official, code enforcement officer.
Thank you. And in that capacity, did you ensure that the notices were mailed to the record owners and all those to whom notice are to be received?
That is correct, yes.
And was that done?
Yes,
Was the notice of this hearing advertised in the newspaper to put the general public on notice?
yes it was.
And was the property in the general vicinity of these two properties posted with a notice of hearing to put the neighbors on notice that we were going to proceed with this?
Yes it was.
All right, thank you. And are you familiar with the condition of the structures?
Yes.
All right, and can you just describe their general condition?
Very deplorable conditions. Also, my biggest concern is there's no road leading to both the houses. So that's the biggest concern I have.
And is it your professional recommendation to council that those structures should be condemned?
Yes,
Are you recommending that the structures should be raised?
yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, now the engineer, please state your name and your position.
My name is Colin Lampart. I'm the borough's appointed engineer.
All right, and in that capacity, did you conduct inspections as an engineer of these two properties, 925 and 931 Ravine Street?
I did.
All right, and did you prepare written reports that summarize your findings?
I did.
All right, we'll identify those as Exhibit D for the record. Can you summarize your findings regarding the condition of the structures on each of these properties?
Yeah, both buildings at 925 and 931 Ravine Street were in an advanced state of disrepair. Building envelope totally compromised, missing doors, windows, and just in otherwise state of disrepair.
And in your professional opinion, do the structures on both properties constitute nuisances?
They do.
Are they presently in violation of the Munhall Borough codes and ordinances?
They are.
Do both structures constitute fire, safety, and health hazards?
They do.
Are the structures unsound?
Yes,
Are you recommending to Borough Council that the structures be condemned?
I am.
Are you recommending that the structures be raised?
I am.
Thank you. Does any member of council or the mayor have any questions for the Borough Administration witnesses that have testified about these properties?
I just have one question, and I spoke with Dave, and I want him just to make a statement that he did advertise the meeting, and it was advertised for this building, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, no other questions? All right, at this time, members of the public, you also have a right to ask questions of these witnesses or to offer testimony or say anything you want about this before Borough Council considers a vote on this. Does anyone wish to speak about the evidence that was presented by Borough Administration and the recommendation to this Borough Council that both properties be condemned and raised? Anyone want to speak on this? Okay, no one indicating any interest in speaking. I presume that neither of the owners are present, is that correct? There's no one here that's an owner of one of these properties, is there? I'm asking. Okay. Well, the owners are not present, no members of the public have any questions of the borough witnesses, nor do they have any comments or testimony. So with that being said, we can close the record. Members of council, you heard the recommendation of your administration officials. At this time, if you wish, you can make a motion to condemn the structures at 925 and 931 Ravine Street and proceed with raising of the structures.
Need a motion?
I'll make the motion to condemn structures at 925 and 931 Ravine Street.
Second motion.
Second by Rich. Any questions on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Okay, motion, 1 second. So the motion carried, as council's familiar, we go through this periodically. I have to prepare adjudications. It's a legal written decision summarizing everything that happened because the law requires that. As this is a local agency hearing, I'll have those prepared as soon as possible. I'll forward them to the borough manager. He'll have them signed by council president. Then they have to be mailed out to the owners and everyone that's entitled to notice. I will proceed with that, and that'll complete this process and conclude these condemnations. So unless there's any other comment from anyone here, that concludes the hearing, and I specifically say that so our court reporter knows he doesn't have to record anything else. And he's free to go. Thank you.
You got it, Jim, you got it. All right. Those speakers. Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And hopefully 2022 will be a better year than 2021-20. This is my last meeting as mayor, and I've been proud to be the mayor of Munhall. I can honestly say I've returned every person who's called my office, called me with a problem, and tried to help everyone that has ever called me. I'm very proud of the police department that we have. We have a very good police department. We have great public works as well. We've updated our police department in the last several years with many things, the body cameras, digital readout plate readers for our cars. We really brought the police department into the 21st century. So, and we do have a good police force, a great police force. So, I want to thank all the residents of Munhall for your support. And certainly, it's been my pleasure to be the mayor, and I thank you all again for your support. And that's about all I have to say. And I'll remember something later, and I'll probably say it again later.
I got a question for you, Mayor.
Yes?
Whatever happened for our town hall meetings that we were supposed to have at the beginning of the month?
Well, we're going to have town hall meetings, and with budget meetings, and I've already spoke with Rob. We're going to start that up in the new year. Spoke with the police department. We're going to start with the block parties and Crime Watch. They're all in favor to do that. I know you mentioned why don't we wait till after Christmas at the last meeting. So I took your advice, spoken with Rob. I didn't want to interfere with. There's been a lot of things talked about in the budget, meetings, more meetings. So it's not we're going to do that. It's just with the holidays, I felt in January we'll start. We certainly have not dismissed that. We are going to do that.
I thought the same way, but you didn't kind of.
Well, I did want to move forward with it, but I took your advice. And how much time do people have in their lives today with holidays, work, and Christmas, and New Year's, and other holidays? So
I understand all that.
that's where we're at with that. And there's many other things I could speak on, but
Yeah, December just seemed like the wrong time, but the mayor and the council will be getting this together in January.
yep, we will. Thank you, Rich.
Mr. Solicitor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I prepared the tax levy ordinance, which is required because with the budget, there's a tax increase. That's ready to go. It's on the agenda tonight. I've also worked with the borough manager And the bank for the tax anticipation loan, again, for the public, so they understand, this is a routine process. It's done in virtually every municipality. Taxes generally don't come in till May, and the borough needs money to operate until the taxes come in, so you take out a short-term loan. It has to be repaid within the calendar year 2022. That's a requirement. You can pay it early and save interest. That's an option too, which sometimes is done. I know we've done that here in the past, but that is just about ready to go. The final paperwork I've been reviewing with the manager. I have to draft an opinion, which I've done, which is required legally for the bank, and that's in place. So that's something that should be acted on tonight, so the money is in place for the start of the year. And lastly, that's all I have to report. I did report and discuss with members of council and the mayor ongoing litigation and also a personnel matter regarding the union. That was done in executive session, which is permitted, and it was supposed to be. We did that before the meeting, so the members of the public know. That was my request, so I could address these things privately with members of the council and mayor. Other than that, that's all I have to report. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody.
Thank you. Manager.
It's been busy, but Becky was out this week, so it's busier and busier. A couple things, corrections on the agenda though. As Greg said, we will motion to approve the resolution for the tax anticipation note that was approved and ready to move forward for the amount of $1,193,788.45. On the budget, on the motion to adopt the 22 budget, that's at $10,955,987.80. And motion to ordinance 1607, setting the 2022 tax rate with 1.5 mil increase at 12.25 mils. And motion number 3, motion to authorize the borough engineer to design Raymond Bond away, not manager. I apologize for those errors. She was trying to Becky was trying to get a lot of work at the end that she wanted to catch up with, and she did dig it. So it is what it is, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Call it, Mr.
Question for our solicitor. Does this fall under the Sunshine Law Act, not advertising that on here? Was it advertised on our website about the tax?
I tried to get a hold of her yesterday, and she's in New Mexico. I wasn't able to get her. My suggestion is we move forward, because if we don't, and we wait till the next meeting, we may not pay any bills.
I know that. That's why I'm asking now.
Yeah,
Do we need to have a special meeting?
Well,
I don't know.
you could.
I'm not the solicitor.
Here's my opinion on that, and that's what you're asking. So there is an exception. What you're at, first of all, it didn't have to be advertised, but your point is, as I understand it, it was supposed to be on the written agenda, which was just explained why it wasn't on the written agenda. Although we knew this was coming, it was discussed, but that's a valid point. That's the new law that went into effect in August of this year, requiring everything acted on must be on the published agenda 24 hours prior to the meeting. It was not. However, there is an exception for emergencies. And in my opinion, if we don't have the money in this borough in January to operate, and especially meet payroll, that's going to be an emergency situation, because you can't miss payroll. You got to pay the bills, and if it's not there, so I think it qualifies. I'm rendering a legal opinion. The alternative is you would try to schedule a special meeting and reconvene. That's an option. I'm given the legal ruling that you can act on it now because we're all here, but if council would rather have a special meeting, that's an option as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Question. We did get the TAN loan, correct? How much out of the TAN loan, the $1.25 million, do we need to use to pay the bills till the end of the year?
I don't have that answer in front of me.
Ballpark me.
$250,000.
Okay. Thank you.
Public Works, he's not here.
You want the engineer.
Yeah. How come Paul? You started, then all of a sudden you lost it.
I don't,
Go ahead, Colin.
we already talked about the condemnations, and other than that, it's been a relatively quiet month. Been helping Joe, the borough manager, administer some loans, or grants, excuse me, not loans, grants, and just some other miscellaneous stuff. So pretty slow. Any questions for me?
I have a question, Colin.
Yep.
So we're in this new building today. How much further needs to be done until we have a inspection of the whole building and we're legally allowed to come in and use the building?
So we're still retaining about a small percentage of the construction contract for punch list items. There's an ADA inspection with the county scheduled for tomorrow. And then my understanding is after that, we should be pretty close to issuing an occupancy permit
Or a temporary, because
or a temporary.
ADL coming is gonna do the inside tomorrow, but they're gonna hold off until the summertime to do the outside, because you don't wanna paint lines and stuff outside in the wintertime. And he's okay with that, ADA's okay with that.
Plus, a lot of that will be addressed under the multimodal grant that we applied for. But our relationship, the contract with Franjo will be done in January.
Thank you.
I got a question on that. Being that we are here, do we have a tally on what this building actually cost us? And do we anticipate paying more monies after January for stuff that isn't done?
I can get you that information. I don't have it off the top of my head.
Okay.
I think I gave it to Rick last month.
Okay.
In terms of future work that needs to be done, I mean, the building will be occupiable, inhabitable, the offices are good. I don't think there's any immediate needs to do more projects, other than the stuff outside of the building.
That would include the paving,
Yeah, it's paving.
for line
yeah.
painting,
Yep.
anything else I'm missing or?
No, it's gonna include painting, striping, the paving under the building, under the awning, overhang that needs to be paved, which you see right now.
Most of that is based on the project upcoming, not the past project.
Yeah. That's all.
That's all. Public Works, not here again. Police chief,
Mr. President, unfortunately, I don't have my report with me. I will submit it to the office first thing in the morning. Any questions for the police department? About first thing in the morning.
yes, sir. Thank you. Fire chief.
Nothing happened. We had 40 calls in November, a couple of actual fires, a couple of big ones. We put in, our response time remains about 4 minutes to get out the door and about 6 minutes to arrive on scene, a little better than 6 minutes to arrive on scene, which is well below the expected average, so that's good. We put in a little under 2,000 man hours in November. I'd like to thank Don Lesser and a couple guys from up in number 4. They put up the holiday decorations up on Main Street. It was cold and wet when they did it, so thanks to those guys for doing it. I don't really have anything else to report other than make sure if you're running a real tree this year that you keep it wet. And don't overload your outlets, because I'd really like to not have to run out the door during the middle of Christmas to go put your house out. And I'm sure all our firemen would say the same thing. So happy holidays to all of you, and any questions for me?
How many outlets can I put together on that tree?
Many as you want. Just use a UL, as long as you're using a UL listed plug strip, you should be fine.
Right. Don't go eat. I'll get there. Boomer, code enforcement.
You have a copy of my report. Houses are still selling at record-breaking numbers. The last house on 10th Avenue sold for $320,000.
I'm thinking though, what about the tax man? We ain't getting that far.
Well, we are.
We want it?
Yeah, Joe, it was brought to our attention that, I always assumed that whenever a house sold, it was appraised, adjusted down the county. Well, that wasn't the fact. So with Joe, he can tell you what he does now. He goes by, if it's sold for more than 50,000, we'll reassess.
No, what I do is, if whatever the house is sold for, you look at the assessment at 75%. If it's assessed lower than 75% of what it's sold for, then we fight we'll appeal the assessment. It makes sense. If a house is sold for 100,000 and it's sold and it's assessed at 10,000, it should be reassessed. I just talked to the Post Gazette and that they asked me about our process, what we go through. It'd be a lot easier if, when the house was sold, it goes down to county, it would automatically be reassessed, but it's not. Especially if you get a mortgage, because you're not gonna, no one's gonna give you a mortgage for a house. If it's worth 100,000, they're not gonna give you $200,000 to buy that house. It's all about what it's appraised at.
Yeah, that house on 10th Avenue was appraised for 75,000. I mean, it's
Yeah.
appraised on the county for 75,000.
It's over 300.
320,000.
And right now, in 2021, and I didn't do November's yet, it's on my desk. And the houses were sold for about 170 houses were sold that need reassessed to a tune of $35 million. And they're assessed at $17 million. So we're getting 50% of what the assessment's like.
Any good questions from Boomer?
It's ripping.
Thank you, Tom.
Like it's fishing.
There's one more. It's the long one.
Yeah.
Finance chair.
Yes, sir. So for the month of November, we had cash inflows of $784,182.65. Cash outflows of $889,193.51. It's approximately $105,000 in the red. It's typical this time of year, as I mentioned last month, anything after the month of October, tax revenue cease, so we're operating in the red for the remainder of the year as well as the beginning of next year. Total in the accounts for Munhall Borough as of the end of November is $589,418.36. And I just want to say while I'm talking that I'm thrilled to be in this building and I'm looking forward to seeing it fully developed in the months to come.
I have a question.
Go right ahead. To me,
There's not enough seats at the table here.
why not?
You have another councilman that's gonna be here. You have a street department man that's gonna be here.
But he gonna be leaving.
That's Becky's seat.
Becky's seat.
Just, we could bring another chair in. This is the same chambers we had over in the other building.
Okay?
So it's the same size, we just gotta bring another chair in.
Remember Becky sat down at the table.
Right. She didn't sit at the table. But you're still gonna have another council person, and you're gonna have public works person.
We'll have the same
Two more people, two more people.
Yeah, I understand.
I'm just saying, I'm just asking.
There's plenty of room to put the secretary over in the corner.
We can put the chief of police over here, over there.
Sounds good to me.
We're gonna need another desk or something in here, for the secretary or whoever. Just bring an appointment, that's all.
There's gonna be a lot of stuff that we gotta checklist.
Right.
I think the mayor should have his own office.
when it comes to,
I think the mayor should have his own little test with there, my side of the check. So you can get me in this. You can get me.
Want me to tell you?
you're done, Rob.
Okay,
You should have your own little space.
public comments on agenda items only. Yes, ma'am. Name, Frank, serial number.
Maureen Fry, 124 West Virginia Avenue, Munhall. On motion number 4, would you
Yes.
please call two Teamsters number 205?
Yes. What?
Who are they?
That's a public work.
I don't know, I'm just asking you.
Yeah.
And you have on here to approve their agreement. My question is, how long is the contract for?
5 years.
5. And starting with the proposed 2022 budget, what is the percentage each year that they would receive
3%.
each year?
each year.
My other 2 questions, which I emailed, are not regarding the motion, so I'll ask you after the motion to pass. Okay?
Yep. Oh,
Thank you.
okay.
I got a question on the motion.
Go ahead.
Motion number 4. Today I had received some calls from some borough employees, and I'm sure we're not gonna have it here tonight, but what page or paragraph does it state who can train on heavy equipment and who assigns them? Or does it go by seniority or CDL licensed drivers? And I'm gonna tell you why, because these guys are worried that there's gonna be guys younger than them that are gonna be trained on heavy equipment where they should go in a seniority basis.
Okay, the way this process went, we all met in executive session to discuss the collective bargaining agreement. We took back everything we had. I emailed everybody what we decided, we sent it to the union. The union met with, or the Teamsters met with the union. Every representative, they unanimously passed what council gave in front of them. So my suggestion would be to the individuals they should not have accepted it with the union when they had the meetings. They accepted this. So the people who called you approved this unanimously.
Okay, so is that the way that it's actually gonna be from this day forward, that younger guys will actually take
Whatever it
preference?
says.
No, we met in the meeting to go over all the things that they had to. That's why we had the meetings, to discuss all these topics
Right,
and what we want to give them. Then we handed it over to them, and they agreed upon that. Now, the way it should work is that if somebody wants to use it, they go to the supervisor. They go to the public works supervisor and say, hey, can I learn how to use that sometime?
express interest.
If that person has some issues, they should go to either the chair or the manager and say, hey, the supervisor's not allowing me to get ahead or to learn this. I think he's discriminating against me, and it should be resolved very easily that way. If it's not resolved that way, and that union individual feels that this is a problem, and it's a contract violation, then by all means, he should file a grievance.
Okay,
But that person who came to you unanimously agreed upon this when he met with the union.
okay. Thank you.
Question over here on motion 2.
On which one?
Motion 2,
Name,
taxes.
rank, and serial.
Dave Cass York, Harvey Avenue.
Oh, good street.
So if the houses were reassessed and Munhall property value is reassessed, wouldn't taxes go up just from the reassessments?
On some of them. We have 4,500 houses in Munhall, and maybe possibly 150, 160 would be assessed.
Okay. So then in that case, then it would go up according
much
to the reassessment plus the 1.5 mil, right?
Remember last year, I suggested to council that we raise taxes last year, or we cut costs or sell off assets. That wasn't done. So this year, we're in the same situation. We can't put this off anymore. You look at the school district, they increased quite a bit. We pull from the same amount of money, the same people, we pull from them. We need to do this. We are making cuts with personnel, we are making cuts across the board, and we are trying to do a lot of this stuff. Sell off assets, cut costs, and raise taxes.
Well, yeah, I know it needs done. I'm just saying that if your house is reassessed, then it would go up plus this.
You ready to go then, Joe? Have no more questions?
Okay, motion to approve resolution 2021-13, authorizing the issuance of revenue anticipation note of $1,193,788.45.
Need a motion?
Motion.
Jason, need a second?
Second.
Mark?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Motion to adopt the 2022 budget at $10,955,987.80.
Motion.
Motion by Rich, need a second?
Second.
Second by Rob. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good, Joe.
Motion to approve ordinance 1607, setting the 2022 tax rate with a 1.5 mil increase at 12.25 mils.
Need a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Rob, need a second?
Second.
Second by Rich. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Good. We're done, one, Joe, you done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Motion to authorize the borough engineer to design Raymond Bonner Way to move forward with the multimodal grant of $300,000.
Need a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Rob,
Second.
second by Mark. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Joe,
Motion to approve collective bargaining agreement that was bargained with Teamsters 205 and Munhall Council, subject to solicitor's legal review and approval.
need a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mark,
Second.
second by who?
Rich.
Rich. You should have seconded.
You second that?
How about,
Oh, yeah, you should
Oh,
have.
I'm sorry.
Jason.
I'm sorry.
you ain't vote.
I'll second.
I forgot.
Need a second?
My
I'll
apologies.
second.
Second by Jason. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Well, he needs to abstain.
Oh,
I did, I got that.
You got
Oh, we
it.
got it, okay.
Yeah, I got that. Motion to pay bills for the period November 10th through December 10th, 2021, summarized as follows. Total, $137,066.22.
Need a motion. Gotta pay the bill.
Motion.
Motion by Rob. Need a second. Jason, second. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Go ahead, Joe.
Motion to approve payroll for the period of November 24th to December 8th, 2021. A total of $278,388.37.
Motion.
Motion by Rob.
Hey, just to be clear, that comment about the longevity pay, that was last month.
Yes.
There's nothing in here.
Right.
That's right.
Not again.
No, yeah, just making a distinction, that's all.
Need a second.
I'll second.
Second for Justin. Any questions? Motion, all approved, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, Rini, I think you had, what, 2 you said?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I had asked if we could have copies of the latest 2022 proposed budget before the meeting tonight. I didn't see them over there, but can we please get copies?
Yes,
Yeah, I guess he'll get them for you.
Are you guys gonna be here or over at the other building?
over the other building.
Okay, I'll stop in tomorrow, all right?
I'm there by myself, so why don't I drop one off at your house?
Wonderful. My mailbox is, oh, you can leave it in the front door.
I won't put it in the mailbox, that's illegal, I'll put it in the door.
How about this? Does the Council of Governments still exist and are we part of it?
Yes,
When it's in the budget, what's it listed under? Council of Government?
personal services,
He said, call you.
Tom, dues and memberships. It depends on what it's for. There's some money goes for the cards with dues and memberships that we owe every single year. Other times, if they do a grant for us, we owe them like 2% or whatever for doing the grant. So that would go under like catch basin repair.
They do grants for us, and if you notice how much money they put in, as far as doing work within the borough, if you keep track of it. But there's quite a few times a year they'll put money.
They also we have to, in the northern end, we have to twice a year, sweep the streets, and if they do it, they charge us for that too. That would go under, road repair and maintenance.
Do you have any idea, just for an idea, how much do we pay to be part of the call
$12,500.
a year? Okay. What services do we get for being part of call? I mean, I keep asking about street sweeping, and I know you said about North Munhall.
Just back a few years ago.
We did have street sweeping many years, and I'm assuming because of the street call, but I'm assuming, so I'm just asking. If we pay $12,500, what do we get for that money?
I
You
won't have
get a
them,
lot more done going through COG than you do going
Well,
on
tell
your
me
own.
what we get.
I will get
That's
you
all
their
I'm asking.
annual report and you can look at everything in there.
Can you just give me an idea, one or two ideas?
A few years ago, when the waterfront TIF, ended, it was renegotiated. And because it was Munhall, Homestead, and West Homestead all involved, the COG was an independent lead on that, and took a lead on that. Am I explaining this kind of right, Joe?
I mean,
I think it's an economy of scale.
And, we needed a third party to negotiate it, between us and West Homestead and Homestead. And I think that was an asset there that they brought to us. And they brought up, how much that we would have to pay for maintenance. It was all agreed upon, how we would, what would be done, on a scale, what would be fixed every year, like a 5-year plan.
and we don't have to belong to a COG. That's something that it's up to boroughs and so next year, when it comes time to join the COG,
You don't have.
you don't have to. You can suggest that we don't go with the COG.
It's to our
It would
benefit,
be a
though.
loss.
And it's-
All communities around here, I can't think of one in the, the Still Valley, One Valley region that doesn't belong to a COG. And there's other COGs also, there's COGs up in the South Hills. So there's numerous COGs around.
There used to be a Still Valley COG a few years ago. Now they merged with Three Rivers COG, Twin Rivers. And now it's one COG with all the municipalities went together on this. So it's a bigger COG now, which we can get more done, with a bigger COG, more boroughs are involved in it. As we only had a few boroughs when it was Still Valley COG.
And the council has 2 representatives on the COG. There's a delegate and there's an alternate delegate.
It's more like,
Any council person can attend the COG meeting or the mayor.
it's more like a buying group. They buy together. We buy all our salt through the COG, one of the COGs. It may not be this COG, but we buy
Sure,
through.
COGs you buy through.
We lease our police vehicles, we get equipment, we get pricing through them. So there's a lot involved and it'll be a learning process for you. And I think you should be named as a COG member,
Yeah.
representative.
In my spare time, I just want to
I can tell you.
There's monthly meetings of the COG, you know, that you can go to.
Training through the COG.
And even if you're not on the, one of the delegates, you don't want to be one of the delegates, you can still go to the meetings, as any council person can go to any COG meeting.
Who's our COG representative right now?
Rich and Mark, I think?
Good, chief, go
Anyway,
ahead, go
I was
ahead.
saying, we have training opportunities with the COG. We have,
Chief wants to know how many.
meetings. We have meetings with other chiefs from different municipalities to share some ideas. Like I said, there's training opportunities that we do with the COG. We're buying equipment. There's a COG list price that if you're running the COG, you know, the price, which when you're talking vehicles, is very significant.
That was her two, she said two. Yeah, Lee said two, correct? You already
There's
said
two or
two.
two?
Only two. I'll tell you when we're done. Merry Christmas, everybody. I need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Need a second, too late. Thank you, Merry Christmas.